Good evening. You're watching Left, Right and Centre. I'm Nidhi Razdan. On the show tonight, is Modi's aide and UP in charge Amit Shah an asset or liability for him in this make or break election? Already out on bail in a fake encounter case, Shah has been questioned in another one. Is this a gamble for Modi or is Shah an indispensable strategist? Is Shah the target of legitimate investigations or of a political conspiracy by the Congress? That's our big debate. Also tonight, the Congress gets ready to rename the landmark Food Security Act after Indira Gandhi. Why must every important scheme bear the Gandhi name? That's a little later, but first tonight, the CBI is likely to file its supplementary charge sheet in the Ishrat Jahan fake encounter case in a few days. And sources have told NDTV senior BJP leader and former Gujarat MOS home Amit Shah is unlikely to be named. Shah, who has been questioned once, may be questioned again this week. But sources in the CBI say there is currently not enough evidence to charge him. Mr. Shah's name came up after former encounter cop DG Vanzara, who is in jail for fake encounters, lashed out at Shah in a letter last month. He said whatever the police had done in Gujarat was at the behest of the state government. Sunetra Chaudhary now has more on that developing story. Sunetra, what else are you hearing from the investigating agency? And in other words, are they basically saying there is no concrete evidence to go after Amit Shah at this point? Does that mean there's a clean chit for the former Gujarat minister?
Well, it is too early to say if there is a clean chit or not, because what is very clear is that the letter by itself was explosive, because in the letter DG Vanzara says very clearly that what he did and all that he did, including obviously because he's accused of the encounter of Ishrat Jahan, that it was all at the behest of Amit Shah and his department. And to that, CBI really tried to back that up and get him on record. So they spent 3 days going to the jail trying to persuade him. But our sources tell us that that didn't work at all. He refused to cooperate any further, saying that he said what he has said in the letter and didn't kind of translate that into a testimony, into a 164 statement for the CBI, which they could have used as evidence. That's one problem. Second other problem is, apart from this letter and apart from the GL Singhal, one of the accused police officers, he had a taped conversation in which as well you saw the accused and the other people getting together. It looked like the state was helping the accused officers and discussing how to help them. Even that was something the CBI was looking at. They spoke to all the ministers who were present at that time. They all accepted it. But even to that, CBI says what they have against Amit Shah in this particular case is nothing more than hearsay. So while they are expected to perhaps pursue that, while they may question him again, they are looking at that seriously as an option, especially before they close this case, before they submit the supplementary charge sheet. What our sources are telling us is that for the moment, if you look at it just right now, there is very little evidence. Of course, some CBI sources say that when Amit Shah was called, he has cooperated in the sense that he did turn up at the investigation and when they asked him to, but did he provide them anything to go forward with? That is very unlikely.
All right, Sunetra, thanks very much for that update tonight. The question is Amit Shah a political asset or a liability for Mr. Narendra Modi? He is Mr. Modi's closest aide. He is now General Secretary of the BJP, a very powerful post to which he was appointed to in May this year. And he's also become in charge of Uttar Pradesh. That's the crucial state for the BJP and a crucial state for Mr. Modi if he hopes to become Prime Minister. But is all of this going to stand in the way of Mr. Modi's ultimate dream to lead this country? Joining us tonight, we have commentator and journalist Ashok Malik with us, also Akar Patel joining us tonight from Bangalore. We have Vrinda Grover, senior lawyer and advocate for Ishrat Jahan's family. Also with us from the Samajwadi Party, Mr. Kamal Farooqi. Shakti Singh Goyal, Congress spokesperson, joins us tonight from Gujarat, and we have Jai Narayan Vyas, the BJP spokesperson from Gujarat, also joining us this evening. Let me ask Vrinda first. Vrinda, the fact that Amit Shah is unlikely to be charged in this charge sheet, isn't that important? Because we've been making so much of the fact that he's been questioned once, could be questioned again, but the fact that they can't find evidence against him is significant.
Well, there are two things here we don't know as yet. I at least have no sources that can inform me till the supplementary charge sheet is filed. What we do know, what is available on paper, both in the first charge sheet and other media reports, that there seems to be a lot of evidence which points to the fact that Amit Shah had knowledge, including the call records which are already in the first charge sheet. The entire team, including Vanzara, was under his control, command and authority. whatever was happening, including this encounter, extrajudicial killing, was with his knowledge, And what now needs to be done is that where is the concrete evidence to put it together? So it's not as though we don't know that he certainly was in the loop on this. Because it is the crime is of this nature, the evidence is going to be internal and privy to the persons who are part of it. And therefore, there is some time that the investigating agency obviously needs to be able to get that concrete evidence to place it before the court of law. I don't think there is any doubt on the matter that Amit Shah was definitely informed of what was happening, and there are phone call records establishing that. And
so
that
you're saying whether he's named in the charge sheet or not, it's not a clean chit, even if he's not named.
Oh, clean chit
in this
is
supplementary.
Absolutely not possible. In all the 5 encounters that are today in the news because of investigation, he's already charge sheeted for killing of 3 people. And that charge sheet, the trial has begun in Mumbai. There is evidence, only on that basis could he have been charge sheeted. The question of a clean chit to a Minister of State for Home, under whose vigil this is happening, whose own top cop has actually given a letter. The letter is not a piece of evidence in a court of law, I understand that. But surely that letter is a very, very clear indication of what was happening in Gujarat at that time.
So I want to ask Mr. Jain and Vyas. Mr. Vyas, is the BJP going to stand by its suggestion that Mr. Amit Shah is the victim of political conspiracy by the Congress party? Are all the charges against him, political conspiracy? After all, he is out on bail in a very serious fake encounter case. Is everything made up? Is everything cooked up?
Well, let me first say, I have yesterday also made this abundantly clear. Mr. Amit Shah is a National General Secretary of our party, and the law says that unless one is pronounced guilty, he is innocent. So all this wild guess that one is hazarding, that because there are call records, that means only they talked about these particular encounters, and without putting in place the entire call data history, jumping to the conclusions that because he was the Home Minister of State, he was in full know of what was happening, and therefore he participated in this entire thing. I think it is too much to assume. The law doesn't go like this. Now that they have found that later they were so far tom-tomming from the rooftop is not worth even a piece of paper in terms of evidence. So they have started now slowly moving away from the letter, and now they are relying upon all kinds of fictitious assumptions which will not stand in the court of law.